issue was it had to be field-based, so we're looking at an applied model here, something people can actually use to do, to put programs together, put curriculum together. So we developed this thing. It had five categories, and then within each category, there were a number of sort of areas. And what we had asked, the reason we came up with this structure was because, again, we were going and working with schools, we were working with model demonstration projects, but I couldn't walk into a school and say, here's a list of 100 practices that you need to do, because they would just shake their heads and send you on your, back to your university, in your little ivory tower place that you live in, because what you do is not meaningful to us. So we used the field to identify these areas and then the structure within these areas, because it needed to be useful to people. And there were a lot of researchers involved, transition specialists from around the country, PR folks from around the country, etc. School-based leaders, blah, blah, blah. So they did the organizing of this. So we gathered the information through those studies, but then we organized the information by doing kind of a three-phase thing with the field. Okay, so then when School to Work came, who remembers 1994 School to Work Opportunities Act? Okay, a bit more, but most of you not. That came out in 1994, and we, again, were in the transition, we had the National Transition Alliance. Now, I think we're still in the Transition Research Institute, but we're moving to the National Transition Alliance. And we had to figure out, well, part of the problem was when they came out with this and said states have to create a school to work system. That's what the law did. And then our center was funded to make sure that they included kids with disabilities in their school to work system. Can't leave them out. And there were a lot of state plans that left them out initially, which is kind of amazing in 1994. But anyway, then we had the question from all the people who have been engaged and now working in transition, say, what, we don't pay attention to independent living or education, it's just employment, work? So then people became confused. It was like, no, stop, we can't let those things go, because if you don't do those things, you're not gonna have employment. There's a connection here. So we had to create a model for this school to work piece, and there it is, isn't it beautiful? An artist, did this, so they had to figure out, okay, what are the relationships of these things? So we have the 5 areas: student-focused planning, career pathways and contextual learning, there's the student development piece, family, the business community resources, and structures and policies. So very similar to those 5 things within the category. But this has, okay, effective practices ensure successful outcomes. It's like, this orbit of things. So within these categories, we have elements. Those were those subcategories or something. And then within those, you had practices with a capital P. So it's quite nice, and we used that. And it was, again, another way for the taxonomy to grow, because we had to continue doing the knowledge development and looking how that information fed into the taxonomy. So yes, we continued looking at things other than just employment. Okay, there's a different picture. You can see it a little bit better. So it's a National Transition Alliance Transition Practices Framework. I have an original picture of that somewhere. I need to dig it out of my boxes. But you know what? Then
there were no slides. It probably was a transition.
No. Like we didn't know we had PowerPoint back then. Transparency. Oh my gosh, yes, you're right. And we could print in color though on these transparency things. But then after that, it was again, what good is a list